say it wrongly. I know the verses too. Hare Krishna.
You can start, Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Narayanam Namaskritva Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Uderayet. Sanvata Savata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hrudayantu Abhidrani Vidunoti Srutsatam Nataprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna.
1 second, let me share the screen and read the slokas. So today we'll be reading the verses 6 to 8. Verse 6. Tam kamayanam bhagavan guvaha yajusam patihi tushtayam tosham apanno ajanaya dvadashatma jan. Translation.
Meanings.
Yeah.
Translation. Tams means her. Kamayanam, desiring. Bhagavan, the Lord. Uvaha, married. Yajasam, all the sacrifices. Patihi, master. Tusyatam, in his wife, who are very pleased. Tosam, great pleasure. Apanaha, having obtained. Ajanath, gave birth. Dvadasa, 12th. Atmana, sons. The lord of ritualistic performances of Yagna later married Dakshina, who was anxious to have the personality of Godhead as her husband and in his wife. The Lord was also very pleased to beget 12 children. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Jai. An ideal husband and wife are generally called Lakshmi Narayana to compare them to the Lord and the goddess of fortune. For it is significant that Lakshmi Narayana are forever happy as a husband and wife. A wife should always remain satisfied with her husband, and a husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. In the Chanakya Shloka, the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandita, it is said that if a husband and a wife are always satisfied with one another, then the goddess of fortune automatically comes. In other words, when there is no disagreement between husband and wife, all the material opulences is present, and good children are born. Generally, according to Vedic civilization, the wife is trained to be satisfied in all the conditions, and the husband, according to Vedic instructions, is required to please the wife with sufficient food, ornaments, and clothing. Then, if they are satisfied with their mutual dealings, good children are born. In this way, the entire world can be peaceful. But unfortunately, in the age of Kali, there is no ideal husbands and wives. Therefore, unwanted children are produced, and there is no peace and prosperity in the present world.
Tosha pratosha santosho Bhadra Shantir idaspitihi idama kavir vibhu swana sudevo rochano dvisat.
Synonyms: tasa, tosa, pratyosha, santosha, bhadra, santi. Do we need to read those synonyms, Prabhu, or should I just go translation? Translation, right?
You can do translation. That's okay.
Translation. Yeah. The 12 boys born of Yagna and Dakshina are named Tosa, Pratosa, Santosha, Bhadra, Santi, Idaspati, Idima, Kavi, Vibhu, Swana, Sudeva, and Rokshana. Rochana. Thank you.
Tushita namate deva asan swayambhuva tare marichi mishra rushayo Yajnasura Ganeshwaraha.
Translation: during the time of Sambhavana Manu, these sons all became these these sons all became the demigods collectively named the Tusitas. Marsi became the head of seven. Uh, what is this, Prabhu?
Seven
Rises?
rishis. Seven
Seven
rishis.
rishis. Seven rishis, and the Yajna became the king of demigods Indra. Purport: during the lifetime of Sambhavana Manu, six kinds of living entities were generated from the demigods known as Tusitas, from the sages headed by Marisi, and from the descendants of Yagna, the king of demigods, and all of them expanded their uh, progeny to observe the order of the Lord, to fulfill the universe with living entities. These six kinds of living entities are known as Manus, Devas, Manuputras, uh,
Amsavataras.
Amsavataras,
Sureswaras and rishis.
Sureswaras, and Rishis. Got it. Yajna, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became the leader of the demigods Indra. Do we have more?
You can
Next one.
summarize from the PDF shared in the Prabhu's.
So, uh, uh, I did not know this. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, devotees, thank you for giving me the opportunity to read these slokas. I just wanted to summarize what I learned and from this Bhagavatam so far. Um, uh, we are learning about uh, different. Yeah, this is good. This chapter is describing the generally the different Prajapatis, the beginning of the incarnation, that Brahma is born, and the Brahma himself is also called Prajapati. Before that, even Vishnu is called Prajapati. So, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord of all living entities, that is Vishnu, he is the maintainer. So, he has created this world in such a way that the created beings can be happy and can have all their necessities supplied by the performance of Yagna. And that Yagna also is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices that has appeared as the son of Prajapati Ruchi and Devi Akuti. So the Lord himself is Prajapati, and and he has the second Vishnu expansion in this world. In the beginning of the creation, there are three Purusha avatars. There are the first three incarnations in the world. Um, at the beginning of the creation, they're called Purusha avatars. The incarnations of the Supreme Person himself appears as the incarnation of Purusha. So he is the first who is the Supreme Soul who enters into the material energy, which is lying dormant, and he activates the material energy simply by entering into material energy. And as soon as he enters the material energy first, the first thing there is a uh, Karana ocean. Karana ocean, the source of the creation itself, of the universes, where he enters into the material energy. The material energy is inactive, dormant. Even the living entities are inactive and dormant condition. And they are as if they were sleeping conditions. So they're all awaiting the Lord's activating them, both the material energy and the living entities, the conditioned souls from the previous dissolution. During the previous dissolution, all the living entities were first of all absorbed in the body of Mahavishnu, who are conditioned souls, and he also absorbs the material energy in a very subtle form called pradhana. Material energy in this active form is called mahatattva, but in its inactive form, it is called pradhana. So pradhana means no activity. It is the inactivity state of material energy. So after absorbing, Mahavishnu disappears. He disappears. That's why we say incarnation. Incarnation means appears and disappears. So the eternally, the Lord is always in the spiritual world. That's why in the spiritual world we don't say incarnation, but the material world. But in the material world, always the Lord appears and disappears. So Mahavishnu disappears. Then, when there is a living entities, the conditioned soul and the material energy in this dormant condition, they're simply the one corner of the spiritual sky. That's why that such will be the situation in Brahman is the Brahma Jyoti. So Mahavishnu is an incarnation of whose incarnation is Sankarana. Specifically, Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, has nothing to do other than enjoying the loving pastimes with his eternal devotees and with his eternal associations. So he expands as Balarama from his own pastimes in Gokula Vrindavana, and then Balarama expands further. Where am I?
That's
I got
Chaturvyuha. That's Chaturvyuha.
yeah, sorry, got this. Yeah, as Chaturvya. Direct expansion of Balrama as Vasudeva Sankarana,
Sankarsana.
Pradyumna, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Anuruddha. Then this Sankarana expands as Narayana as the predominating deity of each Vaikunta planet, because there are many Vaikunta planets. Gokula Vrindavana is one planet where the Supreme Lord, in his form as Krishna and Balaram, they are engaged in eternal pastimes with their devotees in Vrindavana Dham. In Mathura Dham and Dwaraka Dham, he is playing different roles in his pastimes. In Vrindavana, he presents himself as in Vrindavan, he presents himself as he is the present as the original. Where am I? I got moved as the in the original personality of Godhead as a cowboy herd. In Mathura, he is the prince. He is performing his leela, and in Dwaraka, as the king, is performing his leela. So these pastimes are eternally going on the spiritual world as a replica of those pastimes are displayed, demonstrated by Krishna when he comes to this world and incarnates in this world. So the incarnation of Mahavishnu, the expansion of the first Sankarshana, further expands into second Chaturvu Vasudeva Sankarana. Prabhu, I think Vasudeva Sankarana. Oh yeah, Pradima. Sorry, Vasudeva Sankarana. Pradyuma Anuruddha. Then the second Sankarana expands or incarnates as Mahavishnu, who is the first incarnation in this world, even before the creation can begin. Then Mahavishnu, uh, he first of all generates this ocean called Karana Ocean, which is actually Karana Ocean, which is actually the source of the entire material creation. That so many universes appear out of the skin holes, bodily pores of Mahavishnu, but they appear like the bubbles in the ocean. The second Vishnu, the Mahavishnu expansion as a second Vishnu, enters into each universe in this bubble like form. Then the universe begins to develop. So all the development and all activity, everything began with Supreme Lord entering. Therefore, one of the meanings of the word Vishnu means he who enters. So the first Vishnu enters, and the Vishnu enters into the dominant material of energy. The second Vishnu enters into each universe, then enters into the heart of every living entity and every atom. So these incarnations are the first incarnations, first Purusha incarnations, first Purusha incarnations of Supreme Lord in this world in a four-headed form, which resembles one of the forms of the Narayana form. and the Shastras describe him as the maintainer Vishnu. He maintains by having a particular planet in this universe of his own called Shvetadvipa. Um, Laksh- Lakshmi and Narayana are the eternal husband and wife. So it's very difficult to recognize the incarnation of the Supreme Lord simply by observing the form or observing the activities. It's very easy to identify here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is incarnate, who is incarnated as so and not so possible. But there is specific ways in which an incarnation can be identified. First of all, identify the incarnation requires that somebody who has the authority in Vedic knowledge. There are so many ways. One is horoscope and the incarnation of appearance of the Supreme Lord in a particular form itself is a specific birth chart. Like when Krishna was born, Ganga Muni identified the baby is actually the incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Nilambara Chakravarti identified Chaitanya as the incarnation of Supreme Lord. So that is the first way of identifying an incarnation. Secondly, the palm of the hand palms of the hands and the soles of the feet will have specific marks. Generally, no specific marks on anybody spam, but only the Supreme Lord's incarnation will have specific marks, and those marks also are specific to specific incarnation. It is not the same. In Vrindavana, when Krishna used to traverse the soft earth, the sandy bank of the river, or the soft clay, which is generally all over the Braj, then Krishna's footprints used to have those symbols: a flag, a thunderbolt, a lotus, an instrument for controlling the elephants. Sometimes that uh, there are so many inauspicious omens, and those inauspicious omens give an indication to Nanda and Yashoda that there is some danger, and so many demons coming trying to trouble Krishna. So somehow Krishna escaped the attack of some demons like Putana, um, Tirinvata, and so Nandana Maharaj, he became very anxious. So somebody told Nandana Maharaj that Krishna has gone to with the cowboys without Balarama. So Nanda, Yashoda, Balaram, all of them, they came searching for Krishna when they saw bad omens. How did they come? They followed the footprints of Krishna. They so how could they follow the footprints of Krishna and reach this spot where Krishna was in the lake by the Yamuna, where that Kalai Daman happened. So the specific marks on the palm or the feet, then the third way of searching scriptures declare the Supreme Lord's appearance in the form of particular incarnation, just like in the Bhagavatam, the incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described the incarnation of Krishna in Kali Yuga, and he uh, he would always glorify Krishna. His golden complexion, and he would be performing Sankirtana, and intelligent persons will worship him by performing the Sankirtana. So, like the scriptures also describe the incarnation, the scriptures describe the incarnation of Supreme Lord. Always there is a reference of incarnation in the Shastras, just like the Bhagavatam. It is the foretold about the incarnation of Buddha. In the future, the Lord will appear as Buddha. Prabhu, can we stop this one here? Because I think I would like to stop here. Yeah, it's almost time. Um, uh, thank you, devotees, for helping me to purify my heart and giving me opportunity